Hey there everyone, welcome back to another gaming news video here on the Game Vault. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault. We got a lot to talk about today, so let's cue the music and we'll dive right into it. First and foremost, one of my favorite franchises came out recently with a new game, Doom: The Dark Ages, and people are canceling their pre-orders. Well, obviously this has already been released, but they were canceling their pre-orders, and a lot of people are very upset about something regarding this game, and it's causing, I guess, sales to drop a little bit, and that is the fact that the physical copies of Doom: The Dark Ages contain very little data on them, requiring about 85 gigabytes to download to play. And from my understanding, this is all across the board, PlayStation, Xbox, and for PC. So that's frustrating a lot of people. And I get it, I get it. Now, in this day and age, a lot of people, myself included, buy digital copies. I know I'll catch a lot of hell for that because game preservation and, you don't really own what you have and all that. Things can be shut down at any time. I get all that. I understand it. My reasons for it works for me. It's convenient for me, for the way I live, the way I do things and all that. I've got a incredibly huge collection of games from the past, decades of being with PlayStation here, decade or so of being with PlayStation. And I don't want to lug that around. I can't carry that around everywhere. If I want to play out in the living room, I don't want to have to bring a disc out there or, something like that. I've got 3 PlayStations in this house alone. So, having to drag these things from room to room would suck, or to share from one player to another. I can actually play a game on my PlayStation out here and the wife can actually share the game in the other room. We don't both need a physical disc for it. So there's a lot of reasons to buy digital, in my opinion, and it works for me, but I understand why people don't like it. So, but yeah, it's really, really upset a lot of people. The game's done well, though, so far. On Metacritic, we're looking at approximately like a 85 on Metacritic from the critics and about 7.7 user score, which is really, really nice overall. I mean, it's not top of the line by any stretch of the imagination, but it's great for a Doom game. On Steam, it's not doing so well. The first weekend, it came out, Tuesday, I think it was, for a pre-release, and then Wednesday or Thursday, full release. And it never topped at this point, and it's Sunday afternoon right now, 31,470 players was the peak this weekend. And this is opening weekend, and I highly doubt it's going to top that on Steam. Now, I understand it's a Game Pass game day 1 and all that, but we've seen other games that have come out on Game Pass that have done much, much better than this. Now, Doom isn't for everyone. I don't know what the expectations were sales-wise and all that. I'm curious to see what the sales are on this. Did it do well on PlayStation? Did it do well, on PC? How's it doing sales-wise? Are a lot of people playing? I don't know. We'll have to see how that works out. I'm real, real curious about that. But moving on to something else, let's talk about Palworld and the Tides of Terreria update that's launching this summer. The collaboration update for the early access release of the open world survival crafting game Palworld, dubbed Tides of Terreria, is going to launch this summer. We've known about this for quite some time. It's a large update. Future content is going to be added, including new pals, new islands, to more than one island. The contents of the update will be announced across official Palworld social media channels over the next few weeks. So we're going to keep our eyes open for that, and we'll let you know in a weekly wrap-up about that, what we see here. It's still available in early access. It's still, so if you get it now, and it's a fun game, I got a lot of videos on it here if you want to just check out 1 or 2 of them to see what it's about. It's kind of Pokemon meets Ark with guns and weirdness and all that. If you want to check out a video or 2, check it out. It's all about capturing pals and upgrading them and building bases and taking on bosses and stuff like that. Still in early access, you can still get it for cheaper than you will be able to when it comes out fully loaded and ready to go. So check it out. Let's move on to something else I want to talk about. And this is a sore point with me with the way the industry's been working lately. And that's Fairgames, one of Sony's last live service PS5 games, loses studio founder amid internal worries. Jade Raymond departs Haven Studio. Jade Raymond, she comes from decent pedigree here. She's been around the industry since 2002. So she's been in there for quite a bit. Worked on The Sims Online for EA. She was a producer on Assassin's Creed 2, executive producer, Bloodlines. She worked a lot with Ubisoft throughout the years, all the way up to 2015, and she worked on Star Wars Battlefront 2 for EA. So she's been back and forth between EA and Ubisoft. Some hits, some misses in there. And the latest thing she was working on was Fairgames, which was another one of these heist shooter, whatever you want to call them, extraction, I don't know, whatever you want to call these games, these multiplayer, always online, 4v4 or 5v5 games like Concord and so many others that are out there, Overwatch and blah, blah, blah. And she's gone, right? She was the director of this game. Now, this just happened a couple days ago. The reason for her departure wasn't shared with the outlet, but it's said to have come a few weeks after the studio hosted an external test of its PS5 live service game, which reportedly raised concerns for some developers. According to this report, there are worries surrounding how the title was received during the test and how far along the project actually is. Officially, Sony said the following to Bloomberg: Jade Raymond has been an incredible partner and visionary force in founding Haven Studios. We're deeply grateful for her leadership and contributions, and we wish her all the best in the next chapter. That means we fired her, and we just don't want to talk trash about her. So my prediction is Fairgames is either going to be shut down before it releases, or it's going to be another in a long line of live service games that come out and last approximately a year, maybe less, maybe a little bit more, and then just dies on the vine. It's just, this is a part of gaming that people need to stop reaching for. These companies need to stop digging for this crap. It's just, it looks awful. First off, the character design is just absolutely despicable. It's the whole trailer is full of purple, and I did a whole video on the color purple and what that means in video games and movies and all that, or at least what it's perceived to mean. And it just feels like another trash game that's just, I don't know. It really offers nothing to anyone out there, I guess. I don't know what they're expecting to do. Are they expecting to pull from some of these existing games with this completely generic, completely boring looking game? You got to do better. You got to have something big, I think, to pull away from these other games that are already well established, these massive multiplayer games that keep people engaged day after day, week after week. And we're in such a weird time for gaming now. I'll never forget as a kid, it used to be you bought a game, you beat the game, you bought another game, you beat the game, you bought another game, you beat the game, and you just couldn't wait for the next one to come out, and turnover times were like a year for a new game in a franchise. You bought, this one came out now. The sequel's coming out next year. Fantastic. Now we're looking at sequels that take 5 years, 10 years, 12 years more. When was the last Elder Scrolls mainline entry? Now, I'm not talking about that online trash. I'm talking 2011 for Skyrim. Think about it. We're looking at 15 years next year, and we're not going to have an Elder Scrolls by then. I can guarantee you that. So, I don't know. Things have changed so much, but now we've gone from a time where we used to play new games all the time to a time where players play the same game over and over and over again, and you just keep feeding money into it. It's like a slot machine, but you never win anything, right? You just get new skins, you get new this, you get new that, new content every 3 months or whatever, a new map to play on, a new whatever. And I get it. Some people really like that. And it does work. I think in some situations it can be a lot of fun, but I don't know about these extraction shooter type games. They just have zero appeal to me personally. Let me know what you guys think about them down in the comments below. But more about Sony and Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade's launching on June 11th on the PC, and they got some specs and all revealed for that. This has been long awaited for PC, and people are really looking forward to this. This was a big hit on PlayStation when it came out. A lot of controversy around it because Eve, wasn't a 300-pound them. She's just a good-looking woman who, was unrealistically modeled after a real person and all that other nonsense when it first came out, if you remember that correctly. And the game was a lot of fun. It's an action game. People said it's a Souls-like. It's not. It's just one of those action games that involves parrying and blocking and stuff like that. There's a ton of those games out there. But there's some new stuff coming to it for PC, which makes it exciting, right? We've got a new enemy, man, who is the leader of the Sentinels, master of weapons and all that. So he's going to be a new boss fight, which would be kind of fun. Eve's going to have to face off against him. And I think she gets a new outfit for when she beats him. And that's one of the funny things about this game is, as much of an action game as it is, it's also a dress your doll up game, right? For us guys, who never played with dolls as a kid. Well, now we have this pretty doll we can dress up and change her hairstyle and put glasses on her and stuff like that. But then we get to play with her too by kicking the ass out there. If you really want to think about how the game is, it's kind of funny that way. But they're going to have like a total of 25 new outfits overall. And, and like I said, the outfits are very revealing, very sexy outfits for Eve, very boom. And, no gooning, it's people say, oh, you're just gooning and all that. It's not gooning. I'm sure there are some people that are doing naughty stuff when they're playing the game. I couldn't play the game one-handed. I'm not that talented, but yeah, it's kind of cool. But of course, we can't do something like this without some kind of controversy. And it looks like it's being blocked on PC in over 130 countries, which caught Shift Up, the developer, by surprise. Now, people are speculating. I don't think the reason is out there yet as to why, but people are believing that it's similar to the Helldivers 2 debacle when it came out, and that is that you need a PlayStation Network account to play the game. Even though it's a single-player game, an offline game and all that, you need a PlayStation account to play it, is what people are speculating, because a lot of these countries, or all of these countries, don't have PlayStation Network available to them, which is kind of interesting. And one of the new costumes that's added to the game can only be unlocked when a Steam account is linked to the PlayStation Network. So this is causing some controversy and all that. Are they going to make that not a thing when... they're going to update that and make it not a requirement and all that? We'll have to see. Hopefully they do. I think they did that with Helldivers, if I'm not mistaken. And it kind of fixed a lot of the ill will that Helldivers had. Gamers are very quick to give their opinion when it's a negative opinion on something. And it's, not to be blamed there. I mean, it is what it is. So, yeah, hopefully they'll get rid of that and things will go smooth for Stellar Blade. It's a great game. I'd love to see some more. They've already done like one crossover, update, DLC, whatever you want to call it. And I think we've got some more planned in the future, maybe some bigger DLC. We'll have to see. But it's been very successful so far. I wish the best for Shift Up. They're one of those Chinese companies that have been doing some really good stuff, like the guys from Black Myth Wukong. And there's others coming out now. We've got games from India coming out that look pretty sweet. So I'm going to keep our eye on all these different things since American companies are faltering so bad. Boo! Let's talk about live service again. Bungie is in trouble. They, talk about Marathon, another one of those online, shooter games. Bungie is being accused of plagiarism and using an artist's work without permission in their new Marathon game. An artist has accused Bungie of plagiarizing her designs and using them in upcoming first-person shooter Marathon. The artist, who creates futuristic posters under the name Anterial, posted images of her own work alongside screenshots from Marathon's recent alpha playtest, showing that some designs have been copied. Bungie have confirmed that this is the case, but laid the blame on one former artist at the studio. The Marathon Alpha, released recently, and its environments are covered with assets lifted from poster designs I made in 2017, said the artist on X. Bungie is, of course, not obligated to hire me when making a game that draws overwhelmingly from the same design language I have refined for the last decade, but clearly my work was good enough to pillage for ideas and plaster all over their game without pay or attribution. Now, the images she shares as proof clearly show elements from her posters reused without alteration on objects in the extraction shooter, like walls, containers, and so forth and so on. Yeah, kind of crazy, man. She says she doesn't have the resources nor the energy to spare to pursue this legally, but she's lost count a number of times that major companies deemed it easier to pay a designer to initiate or steal my work than to write me an email. 10 years, I've never made a consistent income from this work, and I'm tired of designers from huge companies mood boarding and parasitizing my designs while I struggle to make a living. Bungie's responded to the artist's complaints. They say it's true that her work appeared in the game's alpha, but claim this was an oversight and only one former employee from the art team is responsible. We immediately investigated a concern regarding unauthorized use of artist decals in Marathon and confirmed that a former Bungie artist included these in a texture sheet that was ultimately used in game, said the studio in a post on social media. It was unknown by our existing art team, and they're still reviewing how this oversight occurred. They take matters like this very seriously, blah, blah, blah. We've reached out to Anterial to discuss the issue and are committed to do right by the artist. Well, hopefully they compensate her at least. As a matter of policy, we do not use the work of the artist without their permission. I say leave it in the game and compensate her. Man, that would be the least you could do. Poor girl. She's an artist. I mean, we all know artists are starving all the time. It's a tough business. People don't go into art to become rich. They go into art because they love it, for the most part. And yeah, they don't do it to become rich. So hopefully they do that, and hopefully they compensate her and hire her on or something, or at least give her some sort of payoff for that. And don't just say, well, we're just going to pull it out and screw you, and we don't need your stuff. I mean, it's in there that far. Let it ride, right? The game itself, again, looks pretty uninspiring. Character designs don't look that great. I'm not really impressed with it. Again, this is not my genre, so I'm always going to crap on these games pretty hard because they don't appeal to me at all. They might appeal to you. It might be your type of game. And if it is your type of game, let me know, does this game, if you like this type of game, does this one in particular appeal to you, or am I right? And it's just kind of, I don't know. Well, let's talk about something else now, and that is Nintendo and their Switch 2, and the fact that in their EULA, people are stating that it says, you do not own your Switch 2. Okay, so we all know the internet tends to exaggerate things, go off the handle, and just say things that have zero merit, and there's zero accountability for it, right? We've seen it all the time. I've seen lies about people, just outright lies, where I've seen the reality, I've seen the truth of something, and then the media or somebody else makes up a lie about it, and enough people keep repeating it, and it becomes the truth. Well, I'm going to be the voice of truth and reason in this one here, okay? And as much as I don't like big companies and EULAs and the crap that they put in them, I think they're very, very predatory, and they take advantage of the fact that nobody reads them, including myself. If you took the time to read every EULA that you had to click, I accept these terms, you would never get around to playing the freaking games that you buy. Okay? Or the systems or whatever. But what they're saying is that you don't own the system, and that's not the case. What they're talking about here is piracy and all that. And it's very early on. I will link to the actual EULA here. There's an actual EULA on Nintendo's website here. And it's early on in it, right at number 1, license and grant restrictions, third-party content and all that. And it tells you here that, where is it? You agree not to access or use this console or the software in an unauthorized or unlawful manner, or to access the console's devices, accounts, or data of others, including Nintendo, without their or our consent. You acknowledge that if you fail to comply with the foregoing restrictions, Nintendo may render the console and or the software permanently unusable in whole or in part. That's what it says there. And I think that's what's got everybody kind of stirred up here. They'll brick it, basically. And a lot of companies, a lot of consoles will brick you for stuff, for abuse of things and all that. I think, doesn't Sony brick you for jailbreaking? I don't remember exactly, but so what they're saying is, don't mess with things. Don't do things unlawful with it or that go against their terms of service, and they won't brick it for you. And, Nintendo is not a consumer-friendly company. We all know this. So if you're going to buy a Switch 2, just keep in mind what kind of company we're looking at. We're looking at a company that's suing the creators of Palworld there, Pocket Pair, for using a mechanic where you use a creature as a hang glider, which we've seen in other games too. As a hang glider. I might be oversimplifying things there a little bit, but Nintendo's brutal. They'll do takedowns on YouTube for people. They're just not a very friendly company overall. And they don't have to be. They make money. They're the first ones to introduce $80 games this generation, even though they don't kind of ever match up with the quote-unquote generations that Xbox and PlayStation do, since they always seem to be neck and neck in the race, as they always release roughly around the same time, if not at exactly the same time. Nintendo's always like in between them, so this is a generation and a half ahead, but they're still introducing $80 games before anybody else, and immediately Xbox followed suit. So, it's just remember that when you're thinking about buying from Nintendo. Not telling you what to do, but whatever. And as we move on, we're going to talk about another company I'm not too fond of, and that's Ubisoft. Ubisoft plunges 18% as annual results disappoint and a 10-cent deal looms. Now, shares in the French video game developer Ubisoft sank more than 18% on Thursday after the company reported a 20.5% decline in net bookings for the year that ended March 31st, 2025, a worse than expected result that investors viewed as a setback despite strong sales from its flagship Assassin's Creed title. Strong player engagement. We don't know about sales. The stock closed down at 18.32 at 9.55, marking a nearly 60% slide over the past year. These guys are in trouble, man. They really, really are. I don't see them recovering. I mean, they've got a plan and all that. Can they make it in time to implement that plan, and will that plan be successful? I don't know. I have a feeling Tencent's going to completely end up owning these assets from them, and that's going to be a hard day for Ubisoft. Anyway, net bookings for the fiscal year 24-25 came in at $1.85 billion, below guidance and significantly down from the $2.32 billion the prior year. The company cited lower than expected partnerships and timing issues, with digital bookings comprising 85.9% of the total, also falling 20.2%. Despite a successful launch of Assassin's Creed Shadows in March, which delivered the second highest day one revenue in franchise history. Yeah, I'm doing that on purpose. Full year results were dragged down by weaker back catalog performance and limited new releases. Operating income on a non-IFRS basis came in at a loss of $15.1 million, reversing a $401.4 million profit a year earlier. Star Wars came out. It underperformed. I think was Skull and Bones in the same fiscal year. That might have been the prior fiscal year. But yeah, it was just one underperforming mess after another over these last few years, not just this year or not just last year before and all that, but you look at Skull and Bones, Pandora, Prince of Persia, their game, what was it, X-Defiant, being shut down in a couple months. That's their live service game that just came out. Ubisoft just floundering. And we all know that Assassin's Creed Shadows did not do as well as they said it did. They never talk about sales of the game. They talk about people playing the game, and people playing the game is not the same as sales. And until I see or hear a good hard sales number, then I'll make my judgment on whether or not it did well. Otherwise, I don't believe you guys. The CEO says transformation is underway despite the industry headwinds. CEO and co-founder Yves Guillemot announced that the challenge is citing intense industrial competition and mixed dynamics across Ubisoft's portfolio. Despite the headwinds, Ubisoft managed to deliver positive cash flow generation over the fiscal year. The transformation he's talking about includes a new internal structure to be announced by year end, a $100 million cost reduction plan over 2 years, and the prioritization of evergreen IP and live service models. How many times do we have to teach you guys this lesson? Your live service models are going to fail. I'll tell you that right now. Your cost reduction plan so far has been to fire people left and right, which is not a good cost reduction plan. You shouldn't be in a position where you have to save money by firing people. That means you're in trouble. Okay? That's what it means. The new internal structure to be announced by the year end. You may not have that much time. I don't know, guys. But so we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think about Ubisoft and what's going on with them. And last but not least, Ark. Ark. I often call Ark my cheating girlfriend because it breaks my heart constantly, but I always go back to it. And so we got another community crunch. And here we are over halfway through May. We don't have the Unreal Engine yet. Now we know it's going to be pushed back already till the beginning of June, and that Ragnarok's been pushed back to towards the end of June, which isn't surprising, but it's still disappointing. And our community crunch this week talks about the bison again. Introducing what did they say? Introducing everyone's favorite headbutting heavyweight, the horny bison. And it gives us the dossier on it, which talks about how it'll be in the wild. I guess it's going to be aggressive if you're riding a creature larger than an allosaur. So if you're on an allosaur, Rex, or something like that, it's probably going to go aggressive on you and attack you. Normally it'll be, I'm sure, a passive creature. If you're going by on something smaller or herbivores, it's probably not going to attack you, but on those big theropods and stuff like that, looks like it's coming at you. It's going to be powerful. Domesticated, looks like it's going to be interesting. The milk is going to be there for recipes, which is kind of cool and all that. It says that babies are going to want the milk, which is kind of interesting. Is that going to be a new thing for imprinting, maybe? It could be. It says even baby wyverns treat it like their own mother's milk. So that's kind of a neat alternative for wyvern milk, which is quite frankly a pain in the ass to get if you need to get it. And sometimes you might want to, raise wyverns on a map where you don't tame them and they're not native there. Well, you're not going to have wyvern milk available to you readily. You're going to have to go, travel to Scorched Earth or travel to somewhere else to go obtain the milk and then bring it back. And you got to worry about the spoil timer and all that. And if you're on regular settings and all that, they can be really bad. If you don't have the milk stacking, it's going to be debilitating because by the time you get back, it's all going to be rotten. So it's going to be interesting to see what the bison milk brings to us. I mean, yeah, it's a cool item. We've heard about it for 3 weeks now. I want to hear about something else, guys. I'm really, really tired of it otherwise. And then they go into the community corner and all that other stuff. So, yeah, not really much to talk about this week. I'm sure the comments, though, are pretty exciting here. Better get cheeseburgers. Excited for Ragnarok breedable griffins. That's kind of cool. And bison milk. Yeah. I couldn't care less about Ragnarok as long as UE 5.5 makes this game playable without having to either accept low FPS or visual glitches and artifacts. Sub 60 FPS on high with FG, but 100% render scale for screen, blah, blah, blah. I'll be fine with getting a stable 120 FPS at something like 65 to 70 render scale. So, yeah, man, I want the game to be playable too. It's so hard right now. I stream the game several days a week, and in a 3-hour stream, I will crash probably 6 to 12 times, depending. And it's so random. I understand in some situations where it'll want to crash, but like in some situations, I'll open my inventory to do something, shut my inventory, and then open it again and just immediately crash. And I can't tell you how frustrating it is. It makes me want to rage quit on the spot, but it's like I said, it's my cheating girlfriend. So we're going to kind of give her another shot. We're going to see what UE 5.5 brings. If it brings anything better, I know the Unreal Engine is kind of overrated from a lot of the research I've done on it, and it seems to be contributing to a lot of the problems of the modern gaming industry from some things I've read and seen. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. As always, Cat to Beefy with the Game Vault. I'll see you next time. Until then, peace.